Ms. Stefanik.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to all of the witnesses here today. I want to direct my question to Secretary McHugh. Today and recently at a Senate hearing, you said because of sequestration, the Army will reduce its end strength to unconscionable levels by 2019, likely losing another 6 brigade combat teams and potentially a division headquarters along with associated effects to support infrastructure. As you know very well, Fort Drum is home to the 10th Mountain Division, which I am privileged to represent, and you for so many years represented with great honor and an exceptional record. It's extremely unique in terms of its training capabilities, power projection, and regional location in order to support our armed forces. This installation has already experienced these devastating cuts firsthand, with the deactivation of one of its brigades, dilapidated World War II-era buildings still being used, and the potential loss of 16,000 soldier and civilian jobs due to another round of sequestration in the BCA. These cuts, as you know, would have a huge economic impact on New York and the Northeast as a whole. Fort Drum is a training hub for all service branches and houses the Army's most deployed division since 1990. Because of the potential cuts to training facilities and troop count due to sequestration, would you be able to give us your thoughts on how these cuts to Fort Drum and other installations like it would impact the Army's current and future missions overseas?
Thank you, Congresswoman, and best wishes. Representing a place I obviously think is pretty special. As I said in my opening comments, the reality of sequestration is simply this. Virtually every post, every camp, every station, every program that the Army conducts will see significant reductions. Mathematically, it's inescapable, and that includes Fort Drum. We are blessed as an Army to have a great plethora, if you will, of amazing bases that in places like the North Country, in your district, support and provide an incredibly effective training ground and a very welcoming home. But what we are faced with, as all of us have said here today, are the realities of the numbers that the budget would provide. And at $420,000, as you know, we're currently looking at possible reductions for our major military installations of up to $16,000. So that's in play. I think there's an irony here. I went through 3 base closure rounds, and I understand how painful they are. And I lost a base in Plattsburgh, New York. Thanks to the great efforts of that community, that part of the world came back, but it wasn't easy, and it took a lot of hard work. So I recognize and fully understand the hesitancy of many members. But here's the reality. Without a support of a base closure round, we are forced, rather than to take excess infrastructure where we believe it exists, and spread these cuts almost in a peanut butter kind of fashion across all bases, across all installations. And it's not just a matter of end strength. It is, to the point that you made, our ability or inability, really, to keep up the facilities that our soldiers and their families rely upon and call home. So this is a very dangerous spiral in which we find ourselves. And while ultimately as a military we're most concerned with meeting the nation's defense needs, where at sequestration, as the Chief and I have both testified, we feel we can't meet the defense strategic guidance, but it's also a question of the inability at sequestration levels of providing a good home and adequate training facilities like we currently enjoy in places such as Fort Drum.
I agree with your concerns about sequestration. I've been a strong voice against the sequester in terms of the long-term impact on our readiness, and frankly, I believe it puts our troops' lives at risk. So thank you very much for your service, both to the North Country, but to this country. Thanks.
And thank you for yours.
Ms. McSally.